This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. With your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. This is the Stick Blade Podcast. Everybody, welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. I'm your host for tonight, Jordan Linscott, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, David Barnhouse, Tim Stompanato, and Nick LePage. Everybody, this is the Chicago Blackhawks and Detroit Red Wings podcast. We cover all things to do with both clubs and everything around the NHL. For anybody who hasn't really been paying attention to, the past couple of weeks worth of stuff, there's a lot going on for the Chicago Blackhawks in particular. I mean, I kind of want to say that they're back in this whole playoff mixture.
That's my thing.
The Detroit Red Wings are going to be, I think, back in maybe 2 or 3 years if everything goes according to plan, like it looks like it might be happening soon. On tonight's show, we have a couple topics to talk about. Let's go and just walk through them really quick. On the Blackhawks side of the podcast, Marc-Andre Fleury is going to play with the Chicago Blackhawks. Nope, you didn't just mishear that. That is a thing that actually is going to happen. Also, they acquired Tyler Johnson from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They just signed Juha Kyrä to a 2-year deal, and also Jake Cabe signs, I believe it's a 4-year deal with the Chicago Blackhawks. And then on a little bit of a darker piece of news, but still, I think a good overall piece of news. The Blackhawks have said that they're going to come out and basically make the findings of their internal investigation public.
Right move.
Yeah, right.
It's the right move.
Easily across the board, the right move.
Transparency has been a really big problem with a lot of organizations in regard to this recently, but transparency is always good. So that's something that we're going to talk about as well. And then on the Red Wings side of the podcast, we have a couple things to talk about. The fact that Tyler Bertuzzi will be staying in Detroit for at least another 2 years, barring a trade, which doesn't look like Steve Yzerman's going to be doing. Pius Super is going to be coming to Detroit from the Chicago Blackhawks. Also, the fact that Steve Yzerman put out and told the media this week, hey, Joe Veleno is not a lock for this roster. He's going to have to earn his spot here this year in Detroit, which is kind of good. It's going to force him to grow a little bit. They also acquired Mitchell Stevens from the Tampa Bay Lightning and re-signed Brian Lashoff to a 1-year deal with the club. So just a couple depth signings aside from Bertuzzi and Pius Super. And then just there's one piece of news outside of these two teams that I think is really worth talking about, and that's Jack Eichel. We talk about this whole Eichel watch thing every week, it seems like, but this isn't so much Eichel watch. This is the Eichel situation, because we had some really interesting developments come out this week, and spoiler alert, they were not good.
Not at all.
Is anything good with Buffalo?
Eichel rift. They're wings.
The Bills.
They created chicken wings.
Yeah, they didn't create chicken wings. They created buffalo wings. Let's pump the brakes. Chickens created chicken wings.
Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky's out there too.
They do have an absolute legend.
Who's Trubisky?
Tell you who doesn't want to be out there? Jack Eichel.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So, you know what, Nick, I kind of slow your thunder a little bit. What was the saying that you said when you were told Marc-Andre Fleury will be playing in Chicago this year?
The Hawks are back.
Hawks are
70% back.
I mean, fuck a rebuild, I guess, right, boys?
Rest in peace, the 1-year rebuild.
As I texted you guys earlier this week, Blackhawks rebuild 2020 to 2021. We hardly knew you. RIP.
All right, before we get into all that, boys, how are you guys doing?
Grad school's basically done. I'm doing great.
Love that.
I mean, I was off for the past 2 days, so I'm good.
Nice.
I've got a Guinness and I'm here hanging with the boys talking hockey. I mean, literally, what could be better?
Well, I'm glad you guys are all good, because I'm depressed as shit.
Oh no!
Oh, this took a turn.
No.
The Cubs.
We all,
Cubs?
yeah.
Oh,
yes, thank you, David.
I'm a Sox fan, so I feel great that we got Kimbrel.
Just really quick, I'm in sad boy hours. Obviously Craig Kimbrell's on the south side. Anthony Rizzo's in New York. Javier Baez in New York.
Javi drilled one yesterday.
Chris Bryant's in San Francisco, and they all hit home runs in their debut. So yeah, I'm a
I
little sad, but the Hawks are back. And guys, I'm torn, but this is a Blackhawks podcast, so my spirits are gonna be high.
I'm a Tigers and Cubbies fan, so I get it.
I just want to say, as hard as some of the down years have been recently for the Hawks, we could have been like the 85 Bears or the 2016 Cubs, teams that should have been potential dynasties and just never. I don't understand how the Cubs, like, I get it. I get tearing a rebuild. I've been through so many Cubs rebuilds in my short life. That said, you're telling me that you couldn't find a way to at least keep 2 of them?
One.
Even Rizzo wanted to be like, again, yeah, we want to get assets and, this is business. Yeah, but this is a really bad look for the brand. It's a bad taste in everybody's mouths, players, fans. I don't know. It's a bad message to send. And, thoughts and prayers to all my Northside friends. I don't want to see this happen. I want a real competition.
There was that video of Chris Bryant, like in the dugout, like looking at his phone, seeing that he got traded and just like getting emotional. And I was just like, oh.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Well, before I get emotional here, let's brighten the mood here, boys.
I'm ready. Yeah, because the Hawks are back.
Hawks are back?
Question mark.
No. Caution win, baby.
Exclamation question mark.
Copyright symbol.
We got a defensive defenseman, and that's all we need in my mind.
Jordan, get us going. Let's get on track here.
All right, so let's talk about the first piece of news, and I think really the biggest one. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be playing this season for the Chicago Blackhawks. He won the Vezina last year, and normally when a team is going to acquire a franchise-level goaltender who's won multiple awards, has carried teams to constant cups, they usually have to give up draft capital and prospects along the way. You know what the Chicago Blackhawks gave up for Marc-Andre Fleury? 0.
Michael Hakkarainen.
Yeah.
Okay, and AHL players.
But here's the twist.
Lower.
Oh no, he's an AHL player, but he gets to stay with the Rockford Ice Hogs.
Yeah. So
they're not even going to take him. They're loaning him back to us.
Yeah, they're just paying his contract. Essentially.
Yeah, they took a contract off our hands for the contract number.
Yeah.
When was the last time you got a Vezina winning goalie for nothing?
Boys,
In the words of the great Owen Wilson, wow.
Boys, I mean, at first, this didn't make any sense to me. I was thrilled. I'm like, but why?
Right.
But why?
Right.
But that's what we're gonna get into all the transactions after this happened. But to have Marc-Andre Fleury, yeah, he's 36 years old, but he was playing. Yeah, he's the king of spite. He got what you call it? He
got plucked in the expansion draft.
Yeah, exposed in the expansion draft. Guess what he did? I'll take
the cup final.
I'll take my team to the Stanley Cup final. You want to bring in Robin Leonard to replace me? I'll win the Vezina. Holy shit! Now he's gonna come to the Chicago Blackhawks. He's got Kevin Lincoln under him, and I mean, God, I am excited.
I just loved your emotional range that day. We were like, we got Marc-Andre Fleury, and then you're like, he might retire. But wait.
Yeah, and the saga goes on. It's like, well, Marc-Andre Fleury might not play for the Chicago Blackhawks. He might want to retire or go to Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Well, I mean, I feel for the guy. There are a few players like Fleury that are so universally respected by every player that has ever interacted with them, is beloved by fan bases, and just repeatedly gets, he found out about the trade via Twitter. He wanted to be in Vegas. Reports were coming out that it's not that he didn't want to play in Chicago. It's that he didn't want to play anywhere else except for maybe Vegas, maybe Pittsburgh, if not Vegas. So seeing that post of him just announcing, hey, Chicago, I'm in, I'm here, let's go.
Great post.
That is the kind of guy. We've had a lot of turnover these last couple of years, but especially this year, we had a ton of veteran leadership turnover, and putting Marc-Andre Fleury in that room, who is the ultimate professional, the ultimate positive, high spirits, good guy. This can, yes, his on ice play is phenomenal, but it's those intangibles. You bring that to the locker room as a leader and a positive influence. Every single person is going to be affected by that. This is a huge pickup for us.
This was massive. And the fact that we gave up nothing for him. I mean,
nothing.
will take on a $750,000 contract, and that's it. I mean, I know we were talking about possibilities last year where the Hawks like maybe get in the mix to be like and I thought maybe that's what's happening. Like we acquire Marc-Andre Fleury, maybe we flip him. No, they're all in on Marc-Andre Fleury. That saga was insane. It was
an emotional roller coaster.
that was yeah. I'm like, can you imagine like 4 years ago, Marc-Andre Fleury in a Blackhawks unit, like being
No.
No, not at all. As good as this is for the Blackhawks, I think it's even better for one Kevin Lankinen.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
He is going to learn so much under this Hall of Fame goalie.
And I think that's what was Kevin Lankinen's issue last year is like
He had no one to learn under because they were all
at
fresh.
first it's like, hey, just go play, like go
Yeah.
go
Relax,
stupid.
have fun,
Yeah,
do your
like-
yeah.
And then the Hawks got in the playoff mix, and that's when you seen Lankinen's kind of derail a little bit. And maybe not derail, but like it just
Well, it's a two-parter in my mind.
Yeah.
One, he had no one to really lean on. Like Delia and Subban were there, and there's like a camaraderie, but there wasn't like a mentor to take him under his wing. He was sort of on his own. And two, we clearly only trusted Lankinen. Like Malcolm Subban had some really good games, but we rode Lankinen into the ground last year. This year allows him to take the experience that he got last year and apply that to a smaller list of games where he can grow and try things. He's not going to get burnt out. And through that whole ride, he's going to have Marc-Andre Fleury. He's going to be learning best practices, highs and lows. Like this is going to give Kevin Lankinen everything that he needs. If he's going to be a 1A and not just a 1B, which is 1B is good. You have a career as a 1B.
phenomenal.
But if you're going to be a 1A, this is the year I think that decides it for him.
Yep.
And I think a big point to touch on this too is, obviously Fleury kind of was holding out about it because he was done being kind of screwed over, and Vegas screwed him over. Pittsburgh
And for his family.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and family's gonna go into it. Like Pittsburgh, I wouldn't say Pittsburgh screwed him over. It was kind of a business decision, but still, he felt betrayed. And I think so. Essentially, what the word is Stan Bowen basically gave Marc-Andre Fleury his word, and again, we'll get into the transactions afterwards. But we're gonna win. We're gonna try to win, and you're here to stay. Like we're not moving on from you. Like Marc-Andre Fleury, he's a family man. He doesn't want to keep uphauling his family and going somewhere else. So I think he's here for the full year. So I'm excited. We have a Vezina caliber goalie, and it feels great. I don't know. Yeah, it's $7 million for 1 year, but I'll take it because the Hawks might be back for 1 year.
I like the
back?
fact that it's 1 year because we can go from there. It's not like we just inherited a big, 2 or 3 year contract that we've got to figure out. It's 1 year and we can make all of our decisions moving forward from there.
I think he sticks it out for 1 year. And honestly, I think he goes back to Pittsburgh next year just to retire there.
Jordan, take us through. I mean, you were in the text chain that day. What was going through your mind? Were you confused as we were at the time?
So at first I was super confused because I remember I was reading about this on Reddit at first, and I kind of joked in the chat on Reddit. I'm like, so let me get this straight. Like, I'm reading this correctly. For free, 0 assets, and everyone's like, yeah, that's basically what they paid. And
It is.
Am I taking crazy pills?
like at first I thought like maybe Chicago and Vegas had some deal where they were going to use Chicago as like an LTIR cap relief, and they were going to send the picks later. Like I'd have understood that with like another trade, and then that trade didn't happen, and I'm like, okay, they didn't. No, like no team's going to take on LTIR space for free. You don't do that in a flat cap world like we have right now. You don't even do that in like a cap.
We'll get into that in a second too.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
And like the other thing is like even if they were gonna do that and like just put them on LTIR, there's no reason to give up any assets at all. So I'm like, so this player they traded doesn't make sense. They could have done the whole future considerations thing like Detroit did with Mark Stahl. So he's playing right, and then just silence for what was it, about a week?
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
6 days.
And
I
then
think-
today, like no fanfare, like post on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. Just like a casual post from Fleury, like actually at the airport in Chicago. Hey, I'm here. Let's get this thing going. Like
I'm in.
it feels. I kind of want to like say he did it much in the way of how he found out how he was leaving Vegas. Just really nonchalant. Like, all right, well, I guess I'm here to stay, so I'm playing.
He's a chill dude. Like
He's a
that's Marc-Andre Fleury to a T. I mean, it's kind of how Jalmerson retired, just with a quiet, like, I'm done. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
I-
Like, there's some guys in the league that's who they are. They're not flashy in that way. And that's what you love about them. And it sounds like he took a couple days, like, according to sources, they not my sources, certainly I have no sources, but sources that I've seen where they're like, yeah, he was reaching out to like those that would know about Blackhawks management and the organization, and like, is he gonna, are they gonna keep their word, yada yada yada. And it seems like he's comfortable enough joining on, and he's ready to work, and you don't get better than that. And all in Marc-Andre Fleury, this is a remarkable opportunity for the Hawks.
I feel
The other
like-
thing is, it's a 1-year deal. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
1-year deal. Let's say, and I'm pretty sure this is not going to happen, but let's say Fleury just implodes this
1
season.
year.
1 year, and he's gone.
Yep.
1 year.
I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
boys.
I'm thrilled. This is genuinely exciting news, and I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to watch him play.
I mean, I feel like to get more into about where the Hawks are at, we got to talk about everything else.
No, definitely. Yeah, we've sort of reached the
Well,
plateau with this because the next step is
Later that day, like 8 hours later.
sounds about right. I mean, which
was
one
t-
are you?
it
Which
was
are
t-
we doing, the signing or the trade?
The trade, the Tuesday night.
Okay.
There's a Tuesday night trade. I think Marc-Andre Fleury was traded for on Tuesday early morning or late morning. And then, well, Jordan, take it away.
Yeah,
Well, I
take
mean,
it.
they made a couple trades this week.
Well, no, the big one from.
Okay, so the what was it? The Seth Jones was last week.
Yeah, this one is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
For a 3-time Cup Stanley Cup
Tyler
champion.
Johnson.
So Tyler Johnson is going to be coming to the Chicago Blackhawks, as well as Juhar Khaira. Khaira, we know he's not going to be a big name in Chicago. Tyler Johnson might be a great depth piece, though. Like is his salary cap kind of high? Yeah, but he got that money because he was part of Tampa Bay when they were good and when they needed depth and when they had all the cap space free.
And let's realistically look at this. Like, we gave up, for those of you that don't know, we gave up Brent Seabrook.
His LTIR money.
Exactly. He's retired. It was just his contract. We sent that contract to them, and we got back Tyler Johnson and a pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a second?
A second.
Yeah, it's great. So getting a second is always nice. That, especially since we gave up our first for next year, but getting Tyler Johnson, who slots in theoretically as our 3C, maybe as, could be a middle 6 wing. He's a 2-way guy, can be on the power play if he needs, can kill penalties, can just eat a couple of minutes. This is a stable, productive guy. The Hawks have lacked consistent depth scoring in the last couple of years, and having someone in the middle 6 that can provide some chip in a couple of goals, can be defensively responsible. He's got a veteran presence that can help guide a lot of these young guys. I get it. He's probably $2 million over what he should be, but I am not bothered by this cap hit. And I like the fact that we have somebody reliable in our middle 6 now.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is another move that kind of came out of nowhere. Like Marc-Andre Fleury came out of nowhere. There was rumors slightly in like a Mark Lazarus piece or Scott Powers piece a couple of years ago that the Hawks were checking in. It really didn't make sense at the time, but Tyler Johnson was kind of just, it's like there was a tweet.
I didn't see anything ahead of time that would have tipped us to this.
Out of nowhere, Emily Kaplan just tweets, breaking news, Blackhawks acquired Tyler Johnson for Brent Seabrook's contract. And I was like, whoa. So now we got a legitimate third line center. Like, and as if we haven't had like that many, like we've had solid third line centers.
Yeah, sure.
Options, but Tyler Johnson's capable. Yeah, he's making $5 million for the next 3 years. But this was the move that's like the Hawks are trying to win.
And Seabrook was making 6.8 or 6.7 for the next 4 years. Yeah. And yes, we would long-term injured reserve him every year, but now we don't have to juggle and play that game and be like, oh, we've got to sneak into the first day and then we can flip him down. Like, we don't have to deal with that anymore. And you talked about how nobody just takes cap space for free.
That was
I mean, technically, you have to like usually give incentives or sweeteners for somebody to take it. They paid us a competent third, middle six, typically like third liner, and a second for a very expensive, very long LTIR contract.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the fact that we got a second rounder for him and Tyler Johnson could still be a very capable piece for us.
No doubt.
And that was like but that was the move that night. Like Marc-Andre Fleury, I was excited. I'm like, why? How does this make sense? And then we acquire a guy like Tyler Johnson. It's like, holy shit, Stan Bowman's changing the ship. Like he's ready to, he's done with this rebuild. We're ready to win now. And yeah, he's not the player he was before. He's still capable though. He's very confident. He has that. He's able to produce offensively. And I'm stoked. I mean, move, I'm like, I was at work. I'm like, and I seen like I had like 15 Twitter notifications. I'm like, what could have happened? Like I put my phone down for 10 minutes. And
it was okay. I did not expect anything like that. And honestly, I do want to take a second. I know we sort of breezed past it, but I don't know how to pronounce his name and I do apologize. I read it as Jujar Kyra. What is it?
Yeah, Jujar Kyra.
Okay. I like his style of play. So like, yes, is he going to be a fourth liner for us? Maybe like a 13th forward? Yes, but he's physical. He can kill penalties. He's got a physical presence. He's going to make himself known on the ice. He's got a hard-nosed, gritty style of play that doesn't cross the line into dirty. Like we lost
a type.
Yeah. I do have a type. I ain't gonna lie.
No, that's a Chicago blue collar player.
Exactly, and I love those players. Those blue collar players. And the reason for that is we got rid of Zadorov. Like, and as we'll talk about in a second with what I really like in my signing of Jake McCabe. We got rid of Zadorov, who did two things really, really well: hit people and like disrupt and defend. But was also a serious liability in every other area. This guy is a fourth liner who's not expected to do much, but he's defensively responsible and he plays the body. He's hard hitting. This is a depth piece that we need if we want to go deep.
Yeah, no, I mean, we always talk about depth on this podcast. It's always a major point, and this is one of those pieces. He's I mean, this just to tie in news to news, David Camp, who we didn't expect to go, this is his replacement.
And it's a bummer that Camp is gone because of his defensive responsibility and his face-offs. But you're absolutely right, Nick.
This is his replacement. Yeah. It's like, you know what? We could do without and maybe pay a little less for a guy that could do the same role.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as for Tyler Johnson, I'm stoked. What does that mean for Dylan Strome? Maybe play him on the wing, maybe trade him because we still have Nylander and Hagel to sign, but we'll get into that when the news comes. So for now, we'll lead the speculation to speculation.
Eagles big.
But yeah, I mean, and then we got one more.
Our big signing.
Yeah, this one I was excited about.
So Jake Gabe signs a 4-year deal.
McCabe
signs a 4-year deal with the Chicago Blackhawks. So it's weird. Like you guys had this weird roster overhaul this week.
Watch it back.
I hate to say I called it, but I think that was one of the names I said that the Hawks are targeting.
You did.
At the end of
you said,
week.
"Hey, I didn't think it was realistic just because of where our defense was at." But he got Zadorov's money and is more deserving of it, frankly.
So yeah, we'll tie it in real quickly. Good riddance to Nikita Zadorov.
Oh,
good riddance.
Hurtful.
I didn't like.
Okay.
I didn't like him. I didn't like him. So then we got Jake McCabe, Buffalo Sabres defensive defenseman. Honestly, yes, he played for Buffalo. But his analytics. His analytics are phenomenal. Like he was in the 95 percentile of defensive defenseman. He was in like the tops. He was in the 60 something percentile for offense, and he's just a stay-at-home D man.
Yeah.
And then
Analytics can be everything.
and
You could have
transition.
you could have like a decent player on a terrible team just show up and be a great player on a good team just because of his analytics. Like
Yeah.
comparing it to another sport, a couple years ago, Everton signed a player, this is soccer, that was from a team getting relegated, so sent down to another league for 7 million, like not even a lot, but his analytics put him up there with like some of the best like defensive midfielders in the world, and it showed. And he was phenomenal, and we sold him for like 40 million to one of the best teams in Paris.
Love
so like
that.
analytics
You
can
can't
show
ignore
a
it.
lot. Like you could have a good player on a shitty team, like Buffalo, and he could show up and be one of your best defensemen.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, now it's Jake McCabe and Connor Murphy's our shutdown pairing.
It was 4
It's
years
gonna
and
be
what was
so
it?
good.
Was it 4 years, 4 million?
Yeah, 4
Yep.
years, 4 million flat. At first, I was kind of weary just because he does have that knee surgery. So I was kind of weary of the contract. I love the player, and I think my original tweet was love the player. I'm not sure if I like this contract or don't like this contract.
Sure.
But thinking about it more, and then Zadorov was traded that like a couple hours later. It's all worth it. I mean, I would rather pay McCabe this. Like his analytics are great. I mean, and he's an Illinois boy. His wife's from Downers Grove. He has
Love that.
extra influence. So I'm excited. I mean, he was great in Buffalo. He was on a shitty team, but his analytics are phenomenal.
Right.
And God damn it, something about those stay-at-home blue liners that we love on the Chicago Blackhawks. We talked about Jalmerson last
How
week.
could you, again, one of my
Yeah.
all-time favorites.
Yeah,
I think
I'm thrilled.
No, I 100% am thrilled. We are at a point. Okay, we signed Seth Jones, who who we're hoping slots in as our number one defenseman, two-way guy with some more offense to tap into than before. Awesome. It's him. We have Connor Murphy, who's been a lot more of a shutdown defenseman, typically asked to do a little bit more. Now we have, because I know that Calvin DeHaan gets kind of a lot of crap.
For no reason.
Yeah, no, definitely. But he's still a serviceable and responsible, shutdown defensive defenseman. If it's him and Jones as the number one pairing and Murphy and McCabe as the second pairing, and then you allow a third pairing of like
Caleb Jones and,
Caleb Jones or Stillman, you basically have those two, and then you've also got Kalanick and Mitchell. My guess is that Mitchell and Bodan go down to Rockford and let them grow. Again, give them a year or two in Rockford. Don't rush them. That was the best thing to happen to Duncan Keith. And he turned out all right doing a couple of years in the minors. But you put that third pairing being a swap out of those three of Caleb Jones, Stillman, and Kalanick, depending on who we want ice time for, and see who rises to the occasion. I'm thrilled with where our defense is at this year. And this is such a different feeling. I miss Boquist. I know I was very, very high on Boquist, and I'm still I think he's going to be an all-star in this league. I 100% believe that. I don't know if we had the time to wait for him to get to that point. Whereas now we can wait for the other guys to get to that point.
So I kind of want to ask you guys' opinion on this.
Please.
So we think that the Blackhawks are going to be back in the playoff mix this season, right?
I do.
We kind of talked about this a little bit before the show started, but it seems like the formula for a winning defense group in the playoffs seems to be a great two-way guy, a great offensive guy, and a great shutdown guy. You guys have the two-way guy. You have the shutdown guy.
We have a lot of shutdown guys.
Which we did not have before this season.
But assuming the Hawks are in the playoff mix, do you think you guys go out and get the offensive guy at the deadline?
We have him.
I'm talking about like a guy who has the punch.
We have him. It's Wyatt Kalanick.
You know what?
That's
I'm
bold.
okay with this statement because
you love Kalanick so much.
Well, I do like Kalanick, guilty as charged. But what I also like about him is the fact that he's developed a very good chemistry with Patrick Kane.
Yes.
And that made Gustafsson a legitimate defenseman opposed to where he's been post Patrick Kane. I think Kalanick has a little more defensive responsibility and is going to be better defensively than Gustafsson. We already know that he's comfortable with playing with Patrick Kane. He's comfortable with feeding guys the puck. He's got good breakouts. He's got good mobility. I also think that Seth Jones can chip in a little bit more. Theoretically, we could have, if Seth Jones chips in a little bit more, if Kalanick becomes any more advanced of an offensive defenseman, and then we've got Murphy, McCabe, and Dahan shutting things down, defensive responsibility, protecting things. I think that can make up for, not having, I mean, our offensive defenseman in the cup years was Seabrook. Because really, I know people talk about Keith being a defensive or an offensive defenseman. He's really more of a two-way guy that had really, that was able to, he had a lot of second assists and I think that we don't necessarily need a Erik Karlsson-esque or a Brent Burns-esque offensive defenseman. If you've got guys that can get the play, breakout passes, get play moving and shut things down. I think realistically, this is the style of defense that could not only get the puck out, but also suffocate it coming back.
Yeah. Okay.
Great question, though.
No, I mean, phenomenal discussion point. Just because, Tim, you nailed it on the head. Like, there was really no offensive defenseman with the cup. I mean, Nick Leddy for two of them. No, one.
No, just 13.
Yeah, just one. So it was Leddy, and that was really it. And yeah, the Hawks might not have it out. Kalanick's still on the up and up. Nick Beaudin, maybe some seasoning in Rockford.
Mitchell might be an offensive defenseman. I thought he was more of a two-way. He reminded me a lot of Keith, young Keith, but we'll see.
So, I mean, with all that tying in, though, all those moves, like, Hawks are back.
So before we move on to the wings, I built this thing while we were talking. It's the Hawks back meter. Okay.
Okay.
It's in the orange.
0% to 100%. Oh, we're in orange. Okay, we're gonna do the color pattern, like DEFCON 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, 0 to 100. Like, I'm at 69.
I'm at 75.
I was gonna say 70.
I'm at 75. I think, now bear with me, these moves have to mean, in my mind, I'm reading into this is purely just speculation on my part, that Bowman knows that Taze is going to be back.
Yeah.
They've been protective.
Like it too.
Because these are moves to maximize going for it. And right now you don't go for it unless you have two capable centers. And to me, that's Doc and Taze. And you don't go for it unless you have Taze on board, feeling like he's going to be ready to go.
Yep.
No, yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's like Taze, it seems like he was more confident with he talked about Taze a little bit today. He seemed a little more confident about his return. He's like, we like where we're heading. That was his exact quote. So that's
at least the confidence for you guys going into this season is much higher than last season.
Yeah, I did not expect to be this excited about Blackhawks hockey coming up.
No, not even close.
Literally last week I said, hey, at least we're still in Shane Wright watch for the trade, but that's not happening anymore.
There's no way. I don't know how deep we can go, but
this is a playoff
team.
This is a playoff team.
Jordan, are we still in Shane Wright watch? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think we're like in fringe watch. Like, we're not going to have high odds, but you know what? I'm praying to the hockey gods that the lottery balls finally fall Detroit's way, because they haven't done it yet.
So, in conclusion, for the Hawks side, they're
back.
They're playoff bound. They're back.
Yeah.
They're back. You know what? Exclamation point. Fuck the question mark.
All right.
And then
Hawks are back.
Question mark is in shambles right now.
Congrats to Alex DeBrincat and his wife Lindsay, newlyweds.
Very, very exciting. It was great to see so many Hawks at that wedding.
And Taze was there, looking healthy.
And it's so exciting to see him like out.
Yeah. There's the fact that we didn't hear from him for like a year. But yeah, congrats. Now go have a kid so you can go score 50 goals, Alex. You know that dad.
Get that dad power.
Anyways, Detroit boys, what's going on over there?
Oh my! So Detroit did not have as eventful as the week as Chicago did, but we actually did have some really decent news this week. Tyler Bertuzzi signs a 2-year, $9 million deal with a club. It's going to be a $4.5 million per year deal. In my mind, this signing is perfect for both clubs, or for both sides of this equation. It gives Bertuzzi a certainty for the next 2 years. It carries him exactly to UFA, like in terms of like his contract negotiations. So if he decides he's done with Detroit after these 2 seasons, he can go anywhere he wants. Detroit's paying him 4.5 a year, so he's not making bad
Fair.
money. The Wings aren't
No.
trying to, cheat him out of any
No.
money that he is due. And if Detroit wants to really flip him at the deadline, they know Tyler Bertuzzi is a great player. Everyone around the league knows that Tyler Bertuzzi is a guy that you'd love to have on your second line. Like, I like everything about this deal. It's good for everybody.
I
Mhm.
think this is just Eiserman buying time. He's gonna trade him. Like you don't sign 2-year bridge deals to not move him.
But like, even if he moves he moves him next year, do you know any teams that are really trying to be competitors who would say, no, we're not going to pay 4.5 million for a
Oh,
power
no.
forward who consistently scores 20 plus goals?
No,
no.
this was the best decision the Wings have made. Like, why would you trade him as an RFA? Like that was rumored last week. I like Bertuzzi. I think he's going, especially with this year's Red Wings team. Again, they're improving year after year. Like this is not as bad of a team as it was last year. It's not definitely nowhere near as close as it was 2 years ago. Bertuzzi's a great player. He's like maybe he's not going to be your 30 goal scorer, but he's going to put in 20 to 25 every season.
I
He's
think
gonna-
no, definitely. I think realistically, having Burt back is very exciting for you guys. I'm glad you got him signed. I'm a huge Bertuzzi fan. I think that this is going to be realistically, he's going to play this year, get a chance to post injury, show what he's got. And I think this is going to be a showcase for Eiserman to say either, I think you're part of the plan, or yeah, I can flip you. Let's go. I think this is a showcasing year, even though it's a 2-year deal. This is a show me year
Yeah.
for Bertuzzi.
I would much rather have him be part of the Iser plan because
Oh, for
I love
sure.
Bertuzzi. He's got the grit, but he's got the skill as well. But he's making a decent amount of money, so it's good for him.
And
Glad
is
to
he
have him
part,
back.
yeah, is he part of your long-term plan?
Iser.
yeah, I mean, it's to be answered.
And I think regardless, I'm glad that he's part of your short-term plan because he's a player that you want on your team. So stoked for you guys.
It would just, to me, it would just suck for like Larkin, like the guys he likes playing with that he played with in Grand Rapids and stuff. And Mantha's gone. Just how's he going to react to Bertuzzi possibly being gone?
Like, I think that's an interesting question. I have to assume though that before Eiserman named Larkin, he had to have had like a very in-depth discussion with him and said, "Hey, this is my vision for the club for the next 5 or like so years." I mean, Detroit is not a team that is known for really changing up captaincy all the time, and I can't imagine they're gonna like get a guy like Larkin to sign on as captain and sign, assuming he's going to sign his next deal in what is it, 2 or 3 years? He comes up for the next
2.
one. It's like
Something
you're
like
not
that,
going
yeah.
to tick that guy off without telling him, "Hey, these are the plans we're making, and this is our long-term roadmap." One thing I really like about this contract, I mean, the NHL is a salary cap world, right? It's a lot of this, is this player worth this percentage of the cap hit? $4.5 million for a guy who's going to basically score you 20, 25 goals a season, can play in the corners, play very hard, and can just really assert himself. That's not a bank breaker for, it shouldn't
No,
be
God,
any
no.
cup contending team who's really looking to be serious.
Yeah.
It's easy to trade. It's easy to keep. I love this signing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Oh, for sure.
all in all, it makes sense. Like, if he's a part of your future, 4.5 million, nothing. And if you want to move him, 4.5 million is still nothing really to move.
Yep.
It's a perfect sense. I mean, we've seen Mantha get moved last season. I could see it again with Bertuzzi. I didn't really think he was part of the core. I mean, I think that was one of my questions to Boltman, or I had drawn out for Boltman. Is Bertuzzi part of it? But regardless, as for now, the Wings are in a perfect spot. Like they have these players, like they have the prospects already. Now it's what they see is like what they could do with Bertuzzi. Can they get a
Yep.
young NHL
Yeah.
ready forward, or is
Yep.
he part of it? Like this is a big year for him. This is a big year for the Red Wings and where they fit.
Yep, for sure.
You guys kind of said it. It's a showcase year. It is a showcase year, not even just for Yzerman. It's a showcase year for the rest of the league, for that matter.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, coming out of post-COVID world, hopefully, with the Delta variant crap going on. Hopefully.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, I think the whole league, realistically, Bertuzzi is the kind of guy that you're gonna have a lot of NHL scouts looking at, going like, this is a very affordable cap hit. This wouldn't be a pure rental because he's got another year. What's this guy got to offer this year?
Yep.
And I think the minute he starts to tick up, Yzerman's going to be getting calls. And I think he'd be I love him on your team, but he'd be crazy not to be listening to calls.
No,
Oh, of course not.
Always pick him up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another piece of news that the Wings had this week, and this is I don't want to say it's a long-term rebuild piece, but it kind of could be one that edges them into that rebuild window.
Both news.
Pius Super ends up going from the Chicago Blackhawks to the Detroit Red Wings. It's kind of weird that we've kind of had a couple trades these past couple of years. David, where do you think that he slots in to the
2C.
Detroit Red Wings?
I think he's our 2C. I think Fleury moves out to the wing. And there's a lot of good combinations you can throw him in there. We talked about it before the show started. You could have your check line of him, Zadina, and Verana. You could have the Gulf Storm line of him, Fabry, and Bertuzzi. Like, the possibilities are endless. This is a kid who centered a line with DeBrincat and Kane. Like, he knows how to make things work. He put a hat trick in on us last season, and it was a good hat trick. Like, it was a nice looking goal.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited for this. He was a guy, like, I remember looking at Max Boltman's article when the free agency window opened, and he was like, predictions of the things that could happen. He called this one. That was like one of his first things he mentioned. And I was like, there's no way we're going to sign Pius Super. Like, he's either going to re-sign with the Blackhawks or something, but he wouldn't come here. And he came here, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in.
No, I love the signing for you guys. Like, so this is going to sound weird. From the Hawks perspective, I wouldn't want to do it at his money.
Agreed.
It's 4.25, I want to say, a year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like 4 point something.
That's right around, I feel like, his arbitration would have been. So
the Hawks obviously didn't qualify him, which is I was all right with because I know it'd be this much. But in the Red Wing spot, he's 24, 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, he's one of those versatile players that could play anywhere in the lineup. Like, you want to stick him on the wing, he'll play wing. You want to stick him at second line center, he'll do a damn good job at that. He's skilled enough. You could kill penalties. You could put him on the power play. He's like a Swiss Army knife type of player. Yeah. And I love this signing for you guys. I didn't like it for the Hawks just because they couldn't afford that. It's too much of a risk, and the Wings can afford to take that risk.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of cap space compared to you guys, especially too.
Well, now, yeah.
I remember looking, and I think I might have mentioned this. As much as I like Suter, I viewed him as a little bit of a redundancy for us. We had a lot of guys. I feel like Kurashev is only growing. We've got a ton of guys that can play C or play wing. I haven't given up on Strome yet. There are a lot of guys that can do what Suter did. I like Suter a lot. I think that he does slot in as your 2C. I think that then he can do any combination of going where you need him. I think that we have, like Nick said, it wasn't the right fit for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thrilled that, again, what the Hawks do is they get these European players, these free agent European signings. We showcase them. We highlight them. We give them an opportunity to succeed. And then they go and get paid. It might not always be with us, but they get their opportunity. We give them every opportunity to shine. And then they do it. Like, I think this is another thing that's going to keep us getting these European signings. And I think he's a phenomenal fit for you guys. And I think the Hawks did the right thing to not be sentimental with Pius Super.
No, yeah. I mean, it was like, hey, we're gonna help you out. You're gonna help us out. So
It was great.
I love this move for you guys. I would be excited. You got a great young player. This is a great piece for you guys. He deserves the money for what he showcased last year.
Yep.
The other two signings that I want to talk about really quick, the Red Wings acquired Mitchell Stevens from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they also re-signed Brian Lashoff to a 1-year deal.
And Luke,
Yep. And then they signed Luke Witkowski to, what was it, a 2-year deal? I think it was.
2-year deal.
So Luke Witkowski, you're basically picking up like a Swiss Army knife player, a guy who you can slot between D and forward. Like this,
Yep.
Luke Witkowski is not a difference maker. It's a
piece filler.
placeholder. It's a placeholder guy who you're basically using him as a measuring stick for prospects who are trying to make the roster. Was it Stevens? Yeah, Stevens, in my opinion, is an AHL guy, just like Brian Lashoff is. Like, you're literally just bringing those guys in because you're trying to fill a team like Grand Rapids with guys who've been playing for a minute and who can help develop your young prospects, who can teach them the good habits that are going to promote them towards the NHL.
Yeah.
None of these deals are expensive. It's just, it's all depth
No.
moves.
Yeah.
If Stevens was a 6th-round pick. Okay.
Basically nothing for any of these trades.
Nope.
I mean, Witkowski, former WMU boy.
There you go. There you go.
He's a fan favorite too. Like everybody
Yeah,
loves Witkowski.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say. I mean, he was there in what 18, 19.
yeah, we had him for a season. Did we trade him for picks?
He was there for 2 in 17, 18, and 18, 19, and then he went to Tampa.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean WMU boy. So I love it.
Gotta rep it. Absolutely.
Hometown boy from Holland, Michigan. So he's gonna play with a little.
He's gonna have a little dragon's milk.
Yeah. But I mean,
not a fan of Dragon's Milk. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's Yzerman. I mean, he has a plan for these guys somehow. So
He knows them.
Yeah, I can't really go into much detail because I know Witkowski. That's about it. Lashoff, I know he was with you guys, right?
Yeah,
he
he
was
was a
career
career
Yeah.
Griffins player.
Yeah. So
He
I
came
mean-
up to the Wings a few times.
Yzerman has a plan. Mitchell Stevens, who knows? Maybe this is one of Yzerman's diamonds in the rough.
Or it
never
could just
know.
be depth to pad.
Yeah.
Either way, Yzerman has given me no reason to question him right now, which is
Nope.
wild.
We're not making like a Stephen Weiss signing, so I've never had a reason to question him either.
Oh, whatever.
Right.
Isn't it crazy? Like I'm trying to think of all the moves that Steve Yzerman's made recently. The only one I think that hasn't panned out was the Regula trade. That was it. Like that's the only one that I can think of that did not pan
Okay.
out. The Brendan
Perlini,
Perlini
yeah.
for Alec Regula. That's the only trade that he's made that hasn't panned out.
No.
But-
Perlini just such a terrible sandwich name too. Like, oh, I'll get the Perlini.
Perlini makes sense though. It was a calculated risk. If you can tap into his scoring potential, he was always going to be. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Peary,
Yeah.
where high risk, high reward because his offense comes in bunches, and when he's scoring and he's doing everything right, holy cow, he's unstoppable.
Yep.
It just the consistency. It's the same reason that they moved on from Mantha in my mind. The
Mhm.
consistency.
Yep.
So I get the trade because Regula, I don't think was part of his plan. And so it's worth it to flip for that risk.
And I think it's a nothing trade at this point now because the whole point of why Stan acquired Regula is because he played with Boquist.
Yeah. But it's nice to have him. Like I like
Yeah.
the guy and I still think he could be an NHLer because he's a big offensive defenseman. He's not like the typical undersized one.
Yeah.
It's nice to have him in the pipeline, but yeah, it was sort of a Boquist thing.
Yeah, I mean, just trust the eyes are playing, guys. You guys have been rolling them out all year. There's no reason not to. So, Suter, big one, and then you got your 3 depth signings right there. No reason not to believe in it now. Like, why stop?
Yep.
And the one last piece of the Yzer plan that I kind of want to talk about is Steve Yzerman. He had a press conference this week, and he said in the press conference that Joe Veleno's not penciled into this roster this year. He said he's really going to have to earn a spot. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you got to have these guys getting time and getting reps at the NHL level as soon as possible. I like that we're not rushing it as much as, and I'll own it, as much as I bagged on Ken Holland for the whole overripened thing. If Joe Veleno's not playing at the NHL full time this season, I'm not mad about it. The reason being is because that means that Michael Rasmussen's developing.
Yeah.
It means that Pius Super is panning out. It means Dylan Larkin is playing healthy. And it means that he's going to be getting very meaningful minutes in Grand Rapids and getting ready to take the step to full time NHLer if he doesn't this season. And he was what, 30th overall is the draft that he got picked. Like, you kind of hope those guys make an impact at the NHL.
Right.
If you got to push them another year back and say, well, you still need to get a couple more reps, not the end of the world, because the Wings aren't looking to contend this year. And if he can learn more great habits at the AHL level, awesome.
No, there's no rush. I think this is a smart. Like, why rush him up? Let him develop. Let him feel confident and ready to go. There's no reason to rush Veleno up now.
Well, and I also think why, like, you want to instill a competition. He's young. It's not a given. Why would you say that it is? Like, if anything, this press conference says, yeah, he's not penciled into the lineup. He could go back down. If I'm Veleno, I
Fire
say,
his ass.
yep, exactly. I say, well, I'm going to make damn sure that you don't let me go back down.
Yeah.
I'm Joe effing Veleno. Like,
David?
that's what you got to do for if you want to instill that sense of competition, that fire there. You don't want some kid to be complacent thinking, yeah, all right, I earned my spot in the lineup. No, I hope he does stick up all year because they make it impossible to send him down. But if he's not there yet, then he should be in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
We did forget to touch on one thing for the Hawks. The news that Danny Wirtz wants to make the news public. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the Red Wings. I didn't know if you had anything to add with the Red Wings, Jordan.
No, that was last piece of Wings news.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, I just want to touch on that. I feel like this is the right decision. Just quickly, decision for as a whole. I think this should be brought attention. Like, it shouldn't be covered up as much as it already has been the last 11 years now. So, for once, the Hawks are going to be transparent, and I hope the findings are justable. I hope justice is served, as cliche as that is. But I want, like, because there's, like, I see Reddit posts and shit like that. Like, fans are ready. They feel guilty for being a Blackhawks fan right now, and I just hope the organization finally does the right thing and that this is all settled and we can move on to be excited about this team that we have in front of us.
100%. I think it's the right decision. And let's not forget that Danny Wirtz did usher in an era of transparency. It's not like he's been, keeping things in the dark up until this. When McDonough was ousted and Danny Wirtz came in, he changed a lot of the Blackhawks media structure. He changed we started coming out with more information. Even the rebuild, saying that we were going to do a rebuild came from Danny Wirtz giving the go ahead. There's a lot of things that when McDonough was removed, Danny Wirtz did start to make that cycle go. And like one of the things that I tell myself is, at this point now, 90% of the guys on the actual team on the ice are much younger that weren't a part of any of this. Like, I want to see justice done. And I want to see public announcements. I want to see how they're going to take steps in the future. I want to see owning it. I want to see doing everything that, justice demands. And I think Danny Wirtz making it public, and he's shown a track record so far in his short period as the Hawks CEO president, that's something that he's in line to do, or that he's been willing to do at least. But finally, a piece of news that you can be like, okay, good. They're gonna make this public. I feel good about that at the very least.
Yeah, it's just nice that this is putting it in the rear view is going to sound terrible with me, but I think it's addressed. Whatever the court decides, it's going to be decided. And this is going to be, hopefully in sense of against Brad Aldrich. I hope it works out. Like, I want this to be done. And, it's refreshing to see that this might be coming to an end, because obviously there's more disturbing pieces that came out about this in the recent weeks. We're not going to go into that because we try to keep things light here. So,
Yeah.
And it's been rehashed in so many different spots
Yeah.
that we're not going to be providing anything new or groundbreaking.
just read about it. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't know about it, read about it.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing I will say, Nick, to your point, I think it's less about putting it in the rearview mirror, because I know that's not exactly what you mean. I think that there's a lot to be said
Bad
about
words.
with the transparency, we will have answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that could happen is if they have the findings and it's a closed thing that we never get and it's dismissed in the courts and everyone moves on, we'll never be able to resolve, and there'll never be a coming to terms. And, and that's hard to process. Being able to have everything public, we can at least then see, okay, what are the steps that they're taking? They're owning it. We can process and resolve it in real time. And I think there's going to be a sense of closure, good, bad, or a combination, most likely. Transparency is always better for healing.
Yeah, much better words than I put it. So thank you, Tim.
I know I heard what you were saying, and I felt the exact same way. And I just knew, like, hold on, I know what you're saying here.
Yeah, it was just, you put it in much better words. I was at the lack of better words for my explanation of it.
I hear you.
But Jordan, I guess the biggest news around the rest of the NHL right now is going on in Buffalo. Take us away.
So we always joke on this podcast about Buffalo being a dumpster
I'm not
fire
joking.
Is it
for
a
the
joke?
Sabres.
I don't think it's a joke.
I'm
But-
dead serious.
This week confirmed that the Sabres organization is a legitimate dumpster fire. For anyone who hasn't really been keeping up with what's going on with the Sabres, this is what's going on. Jack Eichel has been having basically a disc injury for the past year or so. He's wanted to get surgery done on it. Management told him, no, you can't get it done. We want you to wait. What was it? I think it was 12 weeks or something like that to see if you can heal. Jack Eichel did what the organization wanted. He waited the 12 weeks. It didn't get better. He said, okay, I've waited the 12 weeks. I'm getting doctor recommendations for this procedure. I want to get that procedure. Jack Eichel tells the Sabres organization, this is what I'm getting from doctors as a recommended procedure. Can I please get this done? The Sabres organization replies, no, you can't get this done. And I've seen ample defenses online from people saying, well, the Sabres organization will be responsible for his cap hit. They'll still be responsible for paying this kid. As much as we love to talk dollars and cents, cap hits, all that stuff on this on this podcast, because we get it. The NHL is a business. These teams are trying to make money. You don't take a young player who has played some of his best hockey with your club, signed on with what he knew at the time was a just bottom of the barrel organization when it came to being competitive, signed a several year contract with said organization. Was he getting paid? Yes, he got paid great, but ask anybody, nobody wants to be around with a organization that they know is going to be at the bottom of the standings. Gets an injury, he wants to get healthy. This isn't even him just trying to, do an elective surgery that's going to make him, a more marketable player. This is literally a quality of life surgery. My dad has had injuries like this before, and it's miserable. This man, Jack Eichel's not doing this out of selfish reasons. This is a miserable experience. I've seen people who have almost the exact same injury in real life, and it's not fun. Jack Eichel's done everything the club has asked him to. He's put the weight of this organization on his shoulders, both literally and figuratively speaking. He wants to get healthy. And the fact that the Sabres won't let him do this at this point when he's done exactly as asked, I'm sorry, it's kind of fucked up.
No, it is. I mean, and then he voices frustrations about it too. He's like, And he was adamant about, let's work out a trade then. Get me out of here.
Yep.
Get an organization that will let me do what's best for me and where I can help them, and you get your assets, and this issue is resolved. Like, I'm gone from here. You don't have to deal with me. Get me out of here. I'll go somewhere that'll let me do what I want to do. And I am so glad that someone is like Jack Eichel. I'm glad he's sticking up.
Yep.
Like, he's putting an end to this bullshit that so many young, talented guys had to do in Buffalo. Like this, it's ridiculous that the merry-go-round keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Like it's never end. Buffalo fans, you don't deserve this. You don't. Like the organization's a crapshoot. It's terrible. You guys got a generational talent in Jack Eichel, and your manager's trying to let it go to waste. Get him out of there. Free Jack Eichel, because it's terrible. Let him get the surgery. Let him better his career. Doctors recommended it, saying it's going to be all right. And Buffalo is trying to shut it down because they might lose. They don't. I don't know. Like it's nonsense. Just get him out of there. Free Jack Eichel. Get him to Minnesota. Get him to LA. Get him to New York Rangers. Just do something with him.
I have lambasted this organization time and time again on this podcast from the perspective of player development and management of resources, of your human resources. And this organization, pre-Jack Eichel, post-Jack Eichel, in the middle of Jack Eichel, has had such a history of that revolving door, that carousel, that, you have guys like Ryan O'Reilly that leave and they're like, I was almost going to quit because the love of the game had been destroyed in me. You've got guys that could be generational or borderline generational talents, and like Rasmus Dahlin, guys that should have been first round high pick, first round caliber talent, Sam Reinhart, Casey Milstead, guys that Alex Nylander, guys
quickly.
that whose developments, Rasmus Ristolainen. There's so many people that could go on and on, that their growth and their development was not only stunted, but like negatively impacted. It was hurt. And a lot of that goes back into whatever their player development mindset is. It's the same mindset that they have with this surgery issue. And I don't know if there's an issue of, Jack Eichel or somebody close to Jack Eichel came out and was like, you don't own your body. Like the team owns you. And I don't know if Buffalo takes that step farther of like, you are nothing more than a piece for us, an asset that we control. And, it is a terribly run organization from the perspective of player management and player development. You've had a terrible culture over the years that has not instilled a desire for people to want to trust the organization and go the extra mile from a player perspective. And now when you cross that step farther, this is the thing that gets me, when it goes just from player development into player health, safety, and wellness. That is a line that, no player should want to sign in Buffalo. I'm glad that Jack Eichel isn't waiting until he's out to voice his frustrations. We should hear this. This is, if this was the NBA or if this was the NFL, we would have been hearing about this so much earlier.
God, yeah.
But hockey has that culture where it's like, I will, we're just going to deal with it. I'm a professional.
Swallow my words.
Yep, exactly. I'm glad that Jack Eichel is speaking out and saying, not only is this against my development in my career, but also my personal health and well-being. I have no, Buffalo frustrates me so much from that perspective.
Yeah, like bravo to him for finally just really voicing it. Like I'd be interested to hear what guys like Ristolainen and McCabe, if they say anything.
They won't.
It doesn't happen.
No.
And this is the culture change hockey needs.
Yep, because staying quiet is how things continue.
Mm-hmm. Staying quiet is how other things happen, like we see with the 2010 Blackhawks stuff.
100%.
If you're gonna call out an organization on its bullshit, do it. Like, this is what hockey needs. They need someone to stick up for themselves. They need someone to stick up for their well-being. They need a face. Like,
my big question is, I'm looking for something from the players union. I would like to see more from the union who represents their people. They're great with contracts and, big contracts and all that stuff. But this is the point when you have a union, when your
Bless you.
representatives,
Thank you,
bless you,
sorry.
people can come in and say, on behalf of one of the people that we represent, their health and wellness is in concern. It's time to address that. Like, you know what I mean? That's the whole
Yeah.
point of a union.
Well, yeah, we're nowhere near the end of this saga. This is going to go on
No,
for a
it's
while
just getting fired up.
because Buffalo is standing pat saying, hey, we're not trading you. So, yeah, we have a lot in store for Jack Eichel. This is just, it started a while ago, but this is also just the beginning. So there's going to be more to it. And I can't wait because I'm glad finally someone is sticking up for themselves and putting it against an organization rather than just going with the wind.
Yeah,
Just,
100%.
yeah. I'm part of the Buffalo Sabres organization, whatever. Good for Jack Eichel. Let's fix this. Let's, showcase our stars. Let's get him out of there. Let him have a great career because he fucking deserves it.
Yep.
We like Ike. Let's go.
There's one last thing I want to talk about before we really close the show out. We all say this, after hockey, there's life after hockey.
Yep.
If Jack Eichel does not get this surgery soon and continues to play with an injury like this, it's going to get to the
There is no
point.
life.
Yes, and I've got firsthand experience because I know somebody who's had a very similar injury to this. If he doesn't get this handled soon, it's going to get to the point where when he gets older, he's not even going to be able to hardly walk.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
God, the Sabres are botching this so bad.
Yeah.
it's a dumpster fire inside of a dumpster fire.
The organization has every chance to use this as positive PR. Is in look, we got a superstar talent who is injured. We're going to let him do what's right for him, get healthy, become a franchise level player again. And if he still doesn't want to stay here, we're going to do the right thing by him and let him move.
Yep.
They have literally every chance right now to do the right thing, and they're not doing it.
But they have bungled every opportunity to do that leading up to this. I mean, at this point, this is just par of the course and a culmination of not only Bungle doing the right thing, but bungling PR. I'm sorry, they're a business. I don't trust them to do the right thing, but I do trust them to do the PR thing. The solid PR move, and they don't do that either.
No,
I have no faith in their choices here.
It's like look at the Red Wings. We are a fantastic organization. Yes, we've had some rough years in terms of our game and our playing, but the organization takes care of their players. Look at Henrik Zetterberg. Zetterberg had a debilitating back injury that he tried to work through. Did he have surgeries? I don't remember if he had surgeries.
They let him have a surgery, yeah.
Yeah. And he basically said, if I keep going, I'm not going to be able to walk and be with my children and all these things. And the Red Wings didn't be like, well, you can't retire. You're under contract. You can't do this. You can't do that. They're like, no, you have life after hockey. Whereas Buffalo, I feel like it's too much of a business where they're not going to take care of you, but they're not also going to do their PR spin on it. What the hell's wrong with them?
I don't understand how you can be bad at both, frankly.
You can't. They're not saying the lines of you hear in businesses, and I'm sure you guys have heard in some jobs, oh no, we're all a family here.
They're not doing any of it.
No,
they're basically saying yeah, I don't know. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. But we're also not going to facilitate you not being here. So there's that.
So fuck you, Eichel.
Agree, 100%. We wish Jack Eichel the best, not only in his playing career, but also in
life,
healing and his physical, mental, and emotional wellness. We're rooting for you, and take it away, Jordan.
If anybody can fleece Buffalo out of Jack Eichel, it's Steve Yzerman.
That's the one part about this thing, this whole saga that really is driving me nuts here. Buffalo's not going to do right by Jack Eichel for his health. They're not going to do right by him by his career. Okay, fine. If you really just are not willing to do what's best for him right now, lower his trade value and get him out the door to a team that will. But they can't even do that right either. They literally would rather waste a golden goose in front of them with this then just let themselves take the chance. Like, God, how are they botching this bad?
I can answer for Tim. It's Buffalo.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. Everything has shown that this is exactly how it would play out.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Free Jack Eichel.
Free Jack Eichel.
Free Eichel.
I'm
I
sorry.
think
I
I
really
get
don't
it.
understand how they're botching this bad.
It's infuriating.
It's bad.
Anyway, we're gonna close the show on a note because I feel like if we keep talking about this, I'm just gonna stay angry.
I mean,
We're just
that's
gonna burn Buffalo to the ground.
We've said what we could say.
Dumpster fire.
For anyone who's still with us, we appreciate you guys watching. At the end of the day, this is a podcast. It's by fans for fans. There's no corporate sponsorship or anything like that, so you get the angry takes like I just had. If you liked what you heard or are watching in this case, feel free to give us a like, a follow, share, retweet, whatever the social media currency of choice is on the platform that you found us on. We enjoy doing this show. It's a fun thing that at least I look forward to every week, and I hope everybody else on the show does as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, feel free to give us whatever the social media currency is of choice that you found us. We really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with us, there are ample ways for you guys to do that. You can find us on Facebook. Just type in Stick Blade Podcast will come up. You go on YouTube, Stick Blade Podcast will come up. You can find us on Twitter at Stick Blade Pod. It's all one word, no underscores, anything like that. Heck, you can even email us at that point, stickbladepodcast@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us there. SoundCloud.com/stickbladepodcast if you want just the audio form. I know some people like to just listen in their cars. That's a really good way to do it as well. It's just SoundCloud is really good, surprisingly, at minimizing data usage. If like data is your thing on your phone, just there are ample ways to get in touch with the show and just enjoy what we're putting out. We're kind of getting to that point where the free agent deadline has come and gone. So there's really not going to be much coming on from the show until preseason starts. So there's going to be this weird sort of area of dead content. So we've got some ideas to put out for you guys for this off season, and I mean fully off season for the show. But in the meantime, for your host, Jordan Linscott, for my co-hosts, Tim Stompanato, David Barnhouse, and Nicola Page, this has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. You guys stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. In the meantime, let's just enjoy what's left to enjoy of this off season. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys during the preseason for some meaningful content. But in the meantime, you guys take care, stay safe, and you know what? Just enjoy what's going on in the world because the hockey world's going to kind of be dead for a little bit.
Hawks are back.
The Hawks are back. At least that's something to look forward to.
Exclamation point. Fuck the question mark.
You guys take care. Stay safe.